from Tea Time with Tracey, and I'm coming to you from downtown by the fishing wharf where the boats are, stuff like that. So I thought this would be a nice backdrop. I know it's not in my house, this scary attic or spooky basement. Hopefully you can see me. I know it's kind of shady, but I ended up bringing a couple books I read just this past week, I think. I even brought a teacup. I'm not having tea because it's hot out, but I brought my teacup with my basket. I just dropped Violet off to get her hair cut. So, anyways, I'll show you my teacup. Hopefully you can see. Oh, that's the back side of her. Look at that. Look at that. This seems like an old one, like it's kind of stained up. But she's still beautiful. Now look, she has a thick layer, like lining of gold. This is a thick lady. And up here, it's all gold. Well, not all the way down, but partially. And I like how she has rivets. And she even has a little gold slipper down here. Here's her pedestal. Beautiful. And she is from Salisbury, Bone China, England. And then it has hand-drawn numbers on it, like there's probably a limited amount. Looks like a 3580 and then a 2 underneath, or yeah, I can't really, I don't know if that's clear or not. Kind of. I brought some water because it's hot out and it's hard to transport a teapot full of tea. So I'm gonna do this, and we'll just have some nice cold water while we talk about books while Violet gets her hair did. But you might hear noises because there's a boat shop over there where they, in a boat slip right there, they pull out great big fishing boats to work on them and stuff. But I'll just try to talk loud. There's nobody actually walking around me, so that's fine. Not that it would stop me, but it was actually supposed to be raining all day today, and it hasn't rained. Now, I just read these. This is a Duet combo. It's a dark romance. Let Me is book 1, Break Me is book 2. So, and they're not huge books, but I gobbled them up. I always seem to gobble them up, but so Break Me, I gotta refresh the names. Riley is the girl. What's the boy's name? For goodness sakes. Caden is the boy. So the hero and the heroine. So this duet has to do with Riley's ex-boyfriend ended up killing himself, committing suicide. And there's Riley. This is Caden. Caden is her ex-boyfriend's older brother. So he blames her for his brother killing himself. All right? Messed up, I know. So this book starts off, it's at a family party. Caden's family, summertime party. His father always throws this because his father, who you find out right off the bat, he's the bad guy in the story. He has something on Riley, and she ends up being at this party, and everybody knows that everybody thinks her ex-boyfriend killed himself because of her. So of course she's extremely uncomfortable. But his father flies her all the way from the States. She lives in the States, I think in Carolina, South Carolina maybe, I forget, to go to these parties and on different occasions. And she hates it. She hates it. He is very manipulative, very, he's just a cruel guy, cruel. I don't want to give it away, but she grew up in an extremely neglectful home. Like, she had her mother, but her mother was a drug addict. So she had random men in her life, throughout her life, and she was never safe at her home. So she often spent a lot of time at Caden's house growing up. And anyways, maybe not so much growing up, but when she started going out with his brother, the one that has passed, she spent a lot of time there. Anyways, one night when she's home with her mother, a certain fella chased her out of the house for one reason or another, and she had no place to run. And she ran to her boyfriend's house at the time. Something happened, and which, oh gosh, this is difficult. Something happened. Long story short, she ended up breaking up with her boyfriend, and he ends up killing himself shortly after. You find out all this stuff at the beginning, so I'm not giving a whole bunch away. So time goes on. Oh, there's a butterfly. Caden, he's an extremely successful young man. Okay, like he's a CEO of some company he started. Extremely wealthy, clean cut looking, but big and muscly, and just like he looks sharp as a tack, and he's smart as all get out. And just underneath, he's a big muscly guy that is clean shaven. You know what I mean? Caden has a best friend who was in this book, and I'm just trying to think of his name. Benji. So Caden and his best friend do their damnedest to harass her, intimidate her, bully her whenever she's around. And not in very good ways, like fear for your life ways. Toy with her, even if they're not, even when she's home in the States, they mess with her a bit. So they don't really know her living situation. In the States, she's still not living high on the hog. She's living with her mother. At this point, she's grown, so her mother's kind of living with her. But Riley is trying to go to school and work her tail off to try to finish school so she can better herself. So, you know the whole nutshell with that kind of thing. Eventually, I should say Caden and his family live in Canada. Like, so she flies from the States to Canada for these parties that his father throws. Only it's not on her dime. The father flies her. She doesn't want to come. She doesn't want anything to do with this family anymore. But the father makes her because he has something on her. Something real bad. Really, really bad. And she can't tell Caden or anybody else in the family, or Benji, because she's scared of what would happen if she was to tell. Which I have to tell you, it kind of ticked me off, because a whole bunch of stuff could have been saved if she just told. But that's would make the story this big if she did that. So, in this, one time when she gets flown to Canada, to Toronto, I believe, she ends up getting stuck because she calls the father's bluff and say, I'm done with this. I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. The father threatens to expose everything and cut all ties and, just wreck her. But she calls his bluff. So he does cancel everything. He does shut everything down. And she's stuck in Canada because she has zero money. She has a little bit of room on her credit card. And she calls one of her old friends, and she was super embarrassed to do that, and has a place to stay. But things go sideways, and there's a lot of things that go on, which is hard to explain without giving the whole story away. Oh, I want my sunglasses off, but it's too bright for me. Anyways, so when things go on, I should say there is warnings for sexual assault, swearing, violence, intimidation, humiliation, abuse in general. There's different things. But since she is stuck, her very best friend that she has in the whole wide world, I forget what his name is, but he lives out in Vancouver, which is on the west coast of Canada, and he's gay, which doesn't matter, I'm just saying, and he's not living high on the hog either, but eventually she gets the funds to get back to her mother, because her mother is disabled now, and a lot of things go on. Now Benji and Caden get wind of this, and they still have no idea. They honestly think that she's sleeping with Caden's father, because for some reason she's always at these parties and her father is surrounded right around her, which that's not the case at all. So they think that she's still just sleeping with the father to get the money so she can fly here, there, and everywhere. But that's not the case. Not the case. And they even go to the States and do some real nasty stuff. Nasty, but turns into sexy stuff, if you know what I'm saying. Now, things come to a head at the end of this book, and they get to find out just how deep this rabbit hole is. So, that's all I'll say about this. But there's a lot of things that go into it. I know that's kind of leaving everything vague, but I have to do that, otherwise it'll give the whole story away. Just saying, there's a lot of steam in this book. A lot of steam in this book. The thing that did tick me off, though, she should have just told. She should have just told, but I'm not in her shoes. Matter of fact, she doesn't have shoes because she's a character in this book. But, yes. Yeah. Now, the bigger picture in this story isn't solved completely. Could have been with a couple of more things, but it wasn't solved. So, Bring On, Break Me is the next book. So, a story from that carries over into this. But the two main characters this is focused on is Benji, and the girl is... I should know, for goodness sakes. I don't know. No, it's not Bianca. For goodness sakes. I'm sorry, for goodness gracious. Oh, that's Benji. Yes, I know Benji. Ava? Is it Ava? It says their name at the beginning. Yeah, it's Ava. Benji and Ava. That's who it is. So that big story carries over in this. Now Benji is in the States for one reason or another, and I can't really tell you because it'll interfere with that book. So he is there watching somebody, but you gotta know Benji, he is a big, dark, beastly, sexy man. He's Caden's best friend. He's been to jail, and you find out this in the beginning. You find out that in the beginning there. He's been to jail. You don't find out why until you get to this book, and I'm not going to tell you why, but he's been to jail. So he is a great, big, dark, gorgeous man. Tattoos and all that stuff. And he's well, I can't say a bodyguard. He's a bodyguard in a sense, but he owns his own dark side business, if you know what I'm saying. And he meets this one girl at a traffic stop, or road rage. She has road rage and approaches his window, and then, that's where their paths cross. For one reason or another, they end up meeting more and more, and because of this person that he's watching, guarding, protecting. But the element from this story, the background element, the bad, heavy story, the whole gamut of the story is a threat, not only to the person that he's protecting, but now Ava's brought into it, and everybody's on high alert. So in this, there is quite a lot of steam too. There's violence, there's tension, and there's an ant crawling up my tripod right now. But I really, really enjoyed this story. I really enjoyed both of them. In this one, there's a really hot, steamy scene at the end of this book. This one, there's quite a lot of sexy, steamy scenes in this book too. Now, Benji, this guy is handsome and all, but this is not Benji in my mind. No, not at all. Same with Caden. Caden is supposed to be a big, blonde guy, and maybe he has blonde hair, but that's not how I envision him. Benji is supposed to be Canadian, Puerto Rican, great big muscle guy. Again, this guy's handsome, but this isn't who I picture Benji to be. But, yeah, this is the first books I've ever read of K.VRose. I didn't even read the back of the book. I'm sorry, I'm doing everything arse backwards. So I'll do that now. Sorry. So for the book one, I know I'm going all over the place. Let me, he says, voice low, hands running up my thigh. You hate me, I whisper, knees trembling. He smiles against my throat. I don't need to love you for this, Riley. Let me. Love and hate are merely two sides of the same coin, and I hate Riley Larson. She's responsible for my little brother's death. She played us both all those years ago. She drove him to the edge. I've spent all this time avoiding her, loathing her, and wishing to get back for what she did. And now she's back in my city, and finally I can get vengeance for my brother. She did always like to be scared, and yeah, these guys like to scare, and they scare good. So, yeah, and I do have to say back at this one, Caden's always had a little bit of a connection with Riley. Never acted on it, because that was his little brother's girlfriend. But, yeah. They scared the bejesus out of her. So, the back of book 2, you don't know what you're in for, princess. Most days I don't even know what I'm in for. Nearly a year out of prison, and I still can't find that remorse they tell me I should be looking for. And when you come along, well, my skeletons never did learn to stay in the closet for long. I can promise you a wild ride. I just can't promise it won't break you. That's Benji's. So, anyways, I would give this a thumbs up. I would recommend this if you're into that sort of thing. It sounds really dark, and it is quite dark. It's not the darkest I've read, but it is pretty dark. But it's certainly more adult than like the teen high school stuff. These guys are young adults, but they're in their 20s. Let me say that. They're in their 20s. I'd say, yeah, 25 and up kind of thing. So, yeah, I like this. I did. And I do have another book of hers, but I found out that's a duet and book 2 isn't out yet, so I'm not going to read it until book 2 because I like to binge. I like to read them 2 at a time because I need to know the whole story. I don't like not knowing the whole story. I'll go insane. So, anyways, I'm going to end this now. I'm going to go up and visit my father because he lives here in town. I'm waiting for a call for Violet, and yeah, I'll put a couple pictures of Violet in at the end of this video so you can see. But yeah, anyways, thanks for joining me today. It's kind of breezy. I hope that you're picking up what I'm laying down, because it might all just be fuzz because of the wind. I don't know. But either way, it's a nice scenery, isn't it? Nova Scotia oceanfront. World famous scallops here in this little neck of the woods. So, anyways, guys, I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Just a second. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose. But if not, that's okay too. I still love you. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. So, oh gosh, this water is refreshing. Yeah. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And yeah, I got the rest of my day to get to. So with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning, and I will maybe see you tomorrow. Bye. Bloop.